What is happening, guys? Happy Wednesday and welcome to the Dynasty WarZone, the People's Dynasty podcast. On today's show, we're going to redraft. We're going to redo the rookie draft from the class of 2024. We're doing that with a little bit more information. Where would we draft them today? And my normal co-host isn't here, but if I were to do a redraft for a new co-host, this guy would most certainly be in line for the 101. You know him as Tyler Knabley from the Roto Underworld, family of podcasts, as well as Best Ball Overlay and FF Barbecue and so much more. He's my buddy at PPR Tyler Knabley. Welcome back, buddy.
Yeah, thanks for having me again. It's always, whenever you call for me to come on the show, I always answer. Love coming on. It's good to feel, be like a reoccurring guest. Every now and again I pop in and get to put my Dynasty hat on, which I don't do as much over on my channel. So it's nice to, I said it in my tweet today, reach in the Dynasty bag, put you all on game. So I always like talking a little Dynasty with you.
No, for sure. And we're glad to have you back. And I enjoy talking to you. I mean, we had you on before I met you in Detroit last year for the draft. We had a great time hanging out, covering the NFL draft. We're going to do some drafting tonight. And then we've just stayed in contact. I've been on your show a couple of times. You're back here this time. But speaking of your show or shows and all of the things you have going on, what's going on in your corner of the world as we're literally at the halfway point of the NFL regular season?
Yeah, man. We kind of talked about in the pre-show. I coach high school football, so that season is over now. So, kind of like starting to really grind the YouTube stuff again. It's really hard to do the YouTube. Like I was doing it every day in the summer, every single day. Like I think we were live for I forget the exact number, but it was like 83 or 85 days in a row we were live streaming. So it's to come down from that a little bit, it's just it's been different. So finally getting back to streaming a couple times a week, doing some battle royale drafts on Underdog, which has been a blast. That's over PPR Tyler, shameless plug on YouTube. Come hang out with us there. Just made a new intro. That's every time I watch this new intro, it fires me up. It doesn't get it's a song you've heard, but it doesn't get copyrighted for the YouTube algorithm. So hoping that stays the course on there. But yeah, just the draft. And honestly, I've had a couple of nice wins on Underdog in the last week. It was like the craziest gambling week of my life. So that's been awesome because it's just like you keep doing this. You got to tell yourself all it takes is one. All it takes is one. And I've been doing this for a year, and I kind of dived into it more. So I would say head first this year, but it's nice to finally, think to myself that I'm not going crazy. I know what I'm doing. So it's nice to get some wins under the belt finally for once.
We used to have a show on our network, and if you're listening on the Player Profiler network, either YouTube or podcast, we had a show on the Dynasty WarZone channel last year. And then the previous 2 years, everybody's schedule got jammed up, but one of our guys named Tyler Orginski, he does DFB football. He used to do a show for us called The Daily Destroyer. I know how hard you guys grind. You guys to grind daily and to have a positive ROI. I mean, do you want to mention the amounts that you've won the last 2 weeks? Because I've seen the tweet, so you kind of already put it out there. So
yeah, no problem.
I mean, I'm not putting your business out there in the streets, so Uncle Sam will know.
Yeah, no, I don't care. So on last Monday, I won my first ever, got first place in the contest. I was on I think it was something after dark. It's NBA. I won NBA, won $5,000, and got first place in that. And that was a crazy thing where it's I drafted Monday. I was at the Wolves game that day too. So I think I had Naz Reid on my team. So it was kind of cool. I got to see one of the guys that helped me win a bunch of money live, which was funny. So I get home. I was really sick. And I just I'm just going to go to bed. I kind of been tracking it throughout the night. There was one team that was doing okay, this team might win, $100 or a couple $100. So I was okay, I'll go to bed. I'll check it in the morning, right? Wake up the next morning. It's actually the election day. So there's a bunch of stuff going on, all the following the election stuff. I got logged on to Underdog. They're doing maintenance. I've never seen them do maintenance in my life before. I'm trying to log on the app. So the morning I wake up, log on, their maintenance. Can't see anything. Okay, whatever. I'll get to it and I get to it. On Twitter, see, app's back up. So I go back on the app, log in, top right corner. I just see $5,000, whatever the number was. And I couldn't believe it. My girlfriend has a video of me. I'm just laughing. because I never won anything close to this kind of money on underdog before. And then this past Sunday, Battle Royale, I usually do, anywhere from like 10 to 20 drafts. There's people out there maxing 150. Like, I just don't have that kind of bankroll. So, did my normal 10. I hated like 20 or 30 drafts. Can't remember exactly how many I did. But, just putting my hat in the ring for some BRs. And what do you know? Got 19th place. Took home, a little over $1,000 in that. So, like I said, I've never won anything close to even the Battle Royale money. So for me to do it in a week was just like the most insane gambling week I've ever had in my life. So thankful for that and ready to, now it's just like, okay, now we got to heat check it. How much can we really run it up? So that's kind of my, that's my gambling recap of last week.
Well, first of all, congratulations. And yeah, you absolutely have to go to a heat check. If you ever played the video game NBA Jam, when you make 3 threes in a row, you're on fire, and then you can't miss. So this is 100% going to be a heat check. Here's a question for you, and it really relates to all young gamblers, poker players, DFS gamers. What do you do with that big score? What do you do with the combined almost $7,000?
I put it directly in my, words can't explain how fast I put that thing in my bank account, because like my thing, and I get, there's the tax thing about it too. Some people were talking to me about that. Like, there's like, whatever. I am the kind of guy where it's like, it's not real until you can spend it. You can't spend the money in your underdog. You can't just put your phone up to the Apple Pay and be like, I would like to purchase this Big Mac, right? You can't do that. I put it in my account as fast as I can. I put it in my savings. I let it sit there, and now whether there's maybe some potential investments, I think we've seen Bitcoin, and I literally just bought $200 worth of a frog coin today because one of my assistant coaches that I coach with is just huge on this coin called Pepe. So you know what? He's been right. I'm going to follow his lead. We'll put a couple hundo in there, but for the most part, it's going to sit in my bank account. And when I need it, I'll have it. I'm not going to blow it all chasing, trying to, I'm going to do the same strategy I've been doing the past like year, right? I'm not going to start like max entering this stuff. Now, some people will be like, oh, now you have a bankroll. Now you can kind of play around with this stuff. I'm going to kind of play this more, I would say, conservatively, prevent defense on in the 2-minute drill. Some people have been burned by it, but hey, we're going to play this. We're going to play this game conservatively from here on out.
Well, I dig that quite a bit. Yeah. Bankroll management. Yes. When you catch a nice score, it's like, how do you build this? It's not, and I'm glad you went and got yourself a Big Mac, it sounded like, but bankroll management, taking care of it, that money's there at the end of the year, Underdog or DraftKings, or, we're going to talk about FastDraft here later in the show. If you win enough money, you'll get a W-2. You'll get a tax form. Maybe it's a W-4, but you'll get some sort of a tax form that you get to file with your taxes. So yeah. I am stoked for that. I've got a rookie related good people bad tweet for you. It's not really a bad tweet. It's an interesting tweet, but we'll get to that right after a word from our buddy, Matt, the Podfather.
This episode is brought to you by Player Profiler, the Dynasty Deluxe package. The rankings are the best in the industry. It includes strategy mode where you can say, hey, change the rankings to be win now. Oh, change the rankings to be productive struggle. There's also a draft planner to help strategize where you should take players, because the draft planner also includes ADP. There's a trade finder where we look up on My Fantasy League and we see trades that are done, including a particular player. Then there's a trade analyzer where you can plug in draft picks, players, and we assign a lifetime value to draft picks out 5 years. The best thing about our trade analyzer, it can't be gamed with volume. And there's mock draft data to see right now what's the market for player X versus player Y, including in the fall when very few mock drafts are happening. And our Dynasty Guide, the Dynasty Dominator, would cost you $10 on Amazon, but you get it for free with Dynasty Deluxe, and you get our rookie guide for free, a $25 value. So you get all of that for $45. I mean, it's a great deal.
It is, in fact, a great deal. So, Tyler, we're going to jump into good people, bad tweets, then we're going to get into the draft. Are you good with that?
I love good people, bad tweets. I would like to touch on the Dynasty Deluxe real quick, though.
Sure, please.
I used that this year. I was in a bunch of startups, like, for some reason, where it's like, I usually play in like these Empire leagues where it's like, you win it twice, there's a mega pot, then we just reset the league, right? The same guy won 2 different leagues. So he won back-to-back back-to-back years in 2 different leagues. So we had to do 2 different startup drafts, and I joined a couple other ones. So I was like doing startup drafts the entire offseason, and I used the Dynasty Deluxe, the draft planner, all that stuff. Even used it for the Scott Fishbowl rankings, which is a part of like the all-in package. But the Scott Fishbowl rankings really helped me. I'm first in my Scott Fishbowl league. I'm only tanking in 1 Dynasty league. I'm only below 500 in 1 Dynasty league right now. So go get the Dynasty Deluxe. It is an awesome product. I can personally attest to that.
There you go. He is going to vouch for this product, and I will too. It's great. Like I said, you get a book, and books are, they're not what they used to be, obviously, with with ebooks and podcasts and audiobooks, but there's something just nice every once in a while to sit down with a book, and you will get one. So that is our shameless plug for the Dynasty Deluxe. Let's get into good people, bad tweets. And this one comes, and this is not a bad tweet. This is an interesting tweet that I actually saw from someone else. Someone else, and I don't remember who, said, I can't stand another Dynasty Nerds tweet hot take about Ashton Genty. So I went and found it, and the tweet is like a nice video tweet. Tyler, as a content creator, you can appreciate the work that goes into these things that the nerds have created. But it's my boy Garrett Price at Dynasty Price, a wonderful guy. I've had the good fortune of meeting him twice. And obviously Ashton Genty is the big hotness as far as like 1 QB leagues. He's the clear 101, and it's not even relatively close. I'll be curious to see if he goes 101 in super flex leagues. But Garrett said, depending on the landing spot he was theorizing around was like the LA Chargers at 21 overall. He said that could put him in his dynasty top 5. So I kind of see what the other person was saying. If I remembered who it was, I would tell you. I do not, but they were the impetus for me to go look at this tweet. But I'm just starting to scratch the surface on my rookie plans and rookie prep for, as odd as it is to say, halfway through the NFL regular season. But tell me, what are your thoughts on this tweet? Could Ashton Genty be in the dynasty top 5 in 6 months?
Without a doubt. I'm genuinely mad that that he's playing so well. I know that sounds weird because we were like watching his highlights on my stream in I think it was like September, or it was like late summer. I was like, you guys gotta, this Ashton Genty kid is next up. And the receiving isn't what it was in his prior season. It's actually a lot. He is a really good receiver. We're just not seeing it as much, I think, this season, but he can definitely do it if you look at the past kind of game logs in the stats. But man, Ashton Genty is just run through the list. If we're going off talent alone, this is a Bijan level talented guy. That's just kind of what he is. So I don't think that, again, landing spot dependent. I think if he goes to the Chargers, let's just roll the Chargers since that's the team you threw out. I'd take Ashton Genty over Breece Hall, who's kind of on the decline. But it's who's the rest of the top 5? It's some sort of version of Bijan, probably Achane. The older guys, you got CMC and Barkley kind of flirting with that top 5. But it's the young stud running backs. You got JT in there too. It's who. Genty is definitely. I think you could even go bolder and say he could be in the top 3. That's where we were ranking Bijan when he came out, and I think he's that level of prospect. So I even think that Genty is a little bit better than Bijan. I'm a Falcons fan. I think he's a little bit better than Bijan. Just some of the stuff that I've seen on tape. If you watch just last season, it's ridiculous, and it's not like they're playing the team is really good. They're playing they played Oregon this year, and he ran all over Oregon. So it's not it's just coming against it's not I'm trying to think of a comp where it's maybe Tajay Spears at Tulane, not comparing to Tajay Spears, but that mid-conference thing where they're playing legit teams. I could not be more in on Ashton Genty. And I know that it's he's the hyped up name right now, but it's Ashton Genty. And if anybody gives you a different name, I would confidently say they don't know what they're talking about. It's Genty, and then it's a massive tier break. And it's everyone else who are unbelievable running backs. This is a crazy running back class. If you run through the names of the list, I can give you 8 guys at the top of my head right now. But it's Genty firmly at the top. It's not even close.
Well, I'm looking at the rankings over at playerprofiler.com. Speaking of Dynasty Deluxe, you have Dynasty Deluxe. You have access to these rankings. And I'm looking at them right now, and Garrett theorized that if he went to a good spot like the Chargers. He also mentioned the Cowboys in the video. And before I even get into my part of this, is like I have no earthly idea what the person who was hating on this tweet even means. I'm looking at the player rankings. I'll tell you right now, I have no problem putting Genty in my dynasty top 5 sight unseen. Don't know where he's going. I mean, could that change if he were to land in Atlanta? Yeah, I would probably have to make some adjustments. Would it change if he landed in Detroit? Sure, we'd have to. But there's not too many spots out there where I would have a hard time putting him ahead of guys like Devon Achane and Kenneth Walker. Mm-hmm. And you can debate talent, and hey, some of these guys have already got a track record. You know, both of those guys, Devon Achane and Kenneth Walker, who are currently in the dynasty running back top 5, have injury concerns, and they both have missed multiple games every year of their career. And I'm getting this guy fresh. So I didn't think it was a bad take at all. It was an interesting take, and I knew we were going to be redrafting rookies on this podcast tonight. So I just thought I would get your 2 cents on Ashton Genty. So we agree that we're team Garrett on this one. We're with the nerds. We're with Garrett. We co-sign. Both Memphis and Tyler co-sign on Ashton Genty, top 5 dynasty running back. We're in agreement.
Yes. And just real quick on the receiving thing, because I think that's been like a knock on him. He had 43 catches for a 569 yards last year. What? And this is like, because people are like, oh, like look at the receiving numbers this year. It's like I think they're just using him in a different way this year. Like he just showed us last year that like he can be a legit receiver. I mean, he's already at what? How many? Almost at what is it? He's already at 1,700 rushing yards this year. 1,700? It's November. It's early November, and he's at 1,700 rushing yards, man. It's crazy.
And you're getting him at the right time, because Jerry and I have talked about this quite a bit, and you're seeing a renaissance at the running back position, and you're going to continue to do it. You know, it's hurting the passing game and it's hurting fantasy points, but it's reminded me of, whether you're a redraft player, a dynasty game, or DFS, the emphasis on the running back position's only going up. In the free agent market, in the rookie class, we're excited to see Jonathan Brooks get a larger workload. I think Garrett nailed this tweet. So I'm not going to give him Dana White, because Dana White typically a little hard. We're going to go with being ahead of the curve, because I think Garrett is actually ahead of the curve on this one. So we'll go this.
See, I'm not a monster. I'm just ahead of the curve.
Yep. I think we feel like Garrett's ahead of the curve on this one. So there you go. That is good, people. Interesting tweets. That was not a bad tweet. It gave us a topic to talk about. Now, Tyler, we're going to do some drafting. When I'm on your show, Best Ball Barbecue, you and I did some drafting. By the way, how are we on track with that $1 million team we drafted?
I can actually tell you right here real quick. I don't think it's winning $1 million at the moment, because I kind of know which teams are, at least in terms of Best Ball Mania. Let me see here.
I think was the big dog, right? It was a $25 one. I remember.
Yeah, we did the Best Ball Mania. I can tell you right here as soon as I find it.
Because when you said you did one on your show, you literally did one like 83 days in a row.
Yes. Yeah. No, we didn't do Best Ball Mania every day in a row. We just like drafted.
You did some sort, but you did some. Yeah. I mean, 83 days in a row, you just be now getting even with that 5,000 you just won.
Our team is in 9th right now. Not looking great.
Not looking great. All right. Well, that's all right. Don't invite me on to draft another team next year, but we're going to draft a team tonight. So we're going to go picks 1 through 9, and then we'll go 10 through 18. I want to give you the 101, unless you don't want to do the dirty job, because this is super flex tight end premium. So obviously a large emphasis on quarterbacks. And I did this intentionally because I'm curious to see between the two of us how far Caleb Williams has fallen. So I'm going to let you take the honors. You're up at the 101. You're doing a rookie draft right now in November. Who are you taking first overall? Super flex tight end premium.
It's Jaden Daniels. Like, who we kidding? Like, yeah, if you tight end premium, yeah, you got the Bowers thing. He's probably the dynasty tight end one. But you're taking Jaden Daniels. The rushing is there. He's already kind of proven that he's like a tough guy. Like, he had the ribs thing, didn't miss a game for it, so he's looking good there. I guess he did come back in the game that he played, but still was kind of iffy to play the next week. Comes back, plays. He's slowed down a tad since then, but it's nothing to really worry about. And just think about when this guy gets more weapons too. Like, he's doing this. Like, what? They're like 7-3 right now, I think. He's doing this. Like, yeah, they got Terry, but it's like Noah Brown, wide receiver 2, Olamide Zaccheaus. You got Dimey Brown, who dropped a touchdown last week. Zach Ertz, Ben Sinnott's nowhere to be found. Like, their running game, and the running game is fine. Like, they got B-Rob, they got, Eckler, who's, kind of trying to give us one last little run. But like, just wait till this kid gets weapons, man. Like, wait till they go out and they get T. Higgins this offseason. Or, they get, I don't know, Hollywood Brown, who's a free agent, or who are the other wide receiver free agents out there. Or like, they draft some kid. Maybe they, maybe they get, I don't know where Ted McMillan's going to go from Arizona, but he's probably not going to go where they're drafting. But I'm just saying, give this kid weapons. I think we can even see a higher ceiling from him. Like, Caleb's got the weapons. Maybe the O-line play is not as good as Washington, but I know we'll probably talk about Caleb when we get there, so I'll leave it be. But it's got to be Jaden Daniels 101. The rushing, just how good he looks as a passer. I think the Kingsbury factor is awesome. I don't know if Kingsbury gets another head coaching job too, which I think kind of helps his case. I don't know if maybe he does, but probably not. So as long as, things are clicking in Washington, or not, I don't see how you could say anyone else other than Jaden Daniels.
Yeah, and I took it last week, but I'll take it one more time just for this audience. I'll take the L on Jaden Daniels. I was hesitant due to his age, and, I thought he was maybe carried a little bit by Neighbors and Brian Thomas Jr., good offensive coach, but he has proven me way wrong. I'm really looking forward to doing my offseason dynasty rankings. I think Jaden Daniels is a tremendous play, and even though he's coming off of his worst game of the season, not surprising, when you're a rookie playing Mike Tomlin and the Pittsburgh Steelers, that's going to be tough for any rookie, even the best rookie. I don't hold that against him. He is still on the season. He is QB6. He's rocking right along, and on a points per game, he's right there with the big dogs. He's there with Josh Allen. He's there with, Joe Burrow. He's right where you would want him to be. I love that pick. See, this is where it gets interesting for me. This is where it gets super interesting for me. I do think it's too early to take the guy that I want to take, but I'm going to go ahead and take Malik Neighbors. Even though it's super flex, even though it's tight end premium, I like some of the quarterbacks. I have questions about some of the quarterbacks, but if I have to take somebody, because Malik Neighbors is getting a quarterback upgrade in 2025, whether that's a rookie, whether that's a free agent, whether that's the guy who's like the janitor. Daniel Jones is gone. I mean, you can't tell me Drew Lock may not be an improvement at this point. We've seen the capability. You're going to have to wait one more year to get consistent play at the level we want him. But I'm taking Malik Neighbors. I'm not as crazy high on him as guys like Jax Falcone. He has him as his dynasty wide receiver 3. I think he's in my top 5. I think that's fair. But a guy that I love and an easy 102 given what we know today. So what are your thoughts on Neighbors, and then take us to 103?
You got to love Neighbors, man. He just looked like he came in week 1 and he just looked the part. He had but his better games were kind of early on. It's kind of been quiet as of late, which is kind of sad to see. But I think, the quarterback upgrade's coming. We've seen the talent. Like, he doesn't go absolutely like, milk carton missing like, Marvin Harrison Jr. may for a couple of games. And I'm sure we'll get to him eventually too. But yeah, I like the Neighbors 102. That's definitely a guy I was thinking about. I was honestly thinking if he is the wide receiver dynasty 1 overall. I think he is, but I think it's close. But if this is tight end premium, I think I'm going to go away from the wide receiver position and go Brock Bowers, because he's the dynasty tight end 1. So he's got to be the in tight end premium, like the 103 pick here. I think I would have taken him at 102, honestly, because like he's just that guy. Like, Brock Bowers is the man. And I think no one's happier than Theo, who is, banging the Bowers drum. Like, I'm the producer for Sonic Truth. Like, toward the end of like, the off season, I would just like timestamp stuff, in the beginning, it's like Theo loves Brock Bowers. Here's why Brock Bowers is upside. At the end, it's like Theo's talking about Brock Bowers again, shocker. He was just all in on Brock Bowers. So I loved him too. I loved him coming out. I had like 20% of him in underdog, so that feels really good right now. Kind of planted my flag on Brock Bowers, and he's going to get a quarterback upgrade too. Like, it just seems like Shedeur is going to be a Raider. It's like sometimes we hear like remember when Kenny Pickett was coming out? It's like he's going to the Steelers. Like, there's no debate. Like, he's just going to be a Steeler, and like that's what ended up happening. And then the same thing a couple of years later, it's like Joey Porter, kind of the Steeler thing again, but it's like he's going to be a Steeler. Like, it's just what's going to happen. So I think like this. we've seen so much like smoke, so much, noise about Shedeur going to the Raiders. Like if let's just say it happens, right? Or like any rookie quarterback, like they're not rolling with Minshew and Ritter, I don't think. And AOC's done. Like they're not rolling with him anymore either. So I think as soon as he gets that quarterback upgrade, we see this offense, become a little bit better. Devontae's out of town. Like Bowers is like the number one weapon on that team. I think we can even see crazier weeks for Bowers than what we've seen thus far because their offense is so bad. But Bowers has found his spots in a couple of games, so it's definitely Bowers for me.
Well, I don't like you as much as I did, before you took Brock Bowers. I liked you more when we started this show. That was going to be my pick. I was debating between him and Neighbors. I thought I would kind of like set the trap and you jump into a quarterback there, and I'd be able to come back with Neighbors. With Bowers at 4. But what a player! And very rarely do young guys, especially tight ends, live up to the hype. And you said it very well. He's going to get a quarterback upgrade. And I think he's going to get a head coach upgrade. I think he's going to get an offensive coordinator upgrade. Now that Tom Brady's a minority owner, I just, if there's, how Dan Campbell was able to go in and change the culture of the Detroit Lions. And we've seen that now going into, I think, year 4. I think that's what you're going to see even from a minority owner standpoint. I think we're going to see Tom Brady go in there, help pick a grown-up at head coach, not a guy the players like, but an actual head coach. And I could even see them trying to do like a retread guy for a year because this quarterback, you mentioned how good the running back class is. The quarterback class, not so much. I agree with you. Shedeur in Las Vegas. Yeah, exactly. You're replacing him, and then you hire Dion to be the head coach. You literally just slide over a little bit from Colorado to Vegas.
Pat Schumer back as the OC in the NFL.
God, please no, please no more Pat Shermer ever. I'm going to go Drake May. Drake May 104. This is my son's favorite player, and I don't know where the
it's not Richardson.
Dude, it's not. I'm talking out of everybody. So, Christmas is right around the corner, as odd as that is to say. And for Christmas, my son wants a North Carolina Drake May jersey. Every time he does anything, if he sees a Drake May Instagram, he DMs it to me. That's one of the coolest things when your kids get a little bit older is you're able to trade reels. 3 out of 5, I think that's a fair number. 3 out of 5 reels from my son Vin are about Drake May, and I get it. I think he's awesome. I liked how he came out and gave props to his teammates in his press conference the other day. And for what we do from scoring fantasy points, since he became the full-time starter in week 6, he has been the QB 10. Now, has he been setting the world on fire in that time the way that a Jaden Daniels has? No. But he's actually, in this time, since Jaden Daniels, from week 6 through last week, Jaden Daniels is QB 11. So Drake May's actually outscored him in the last 6 games. And he doesn't even have a scary Terry. He's got Hunter Henry and a bunch of bums.
That's what I was going to say. Who's he throwing to? Jalen Polk got his first touchdown. It's like, oh, Jalen Polk, he's alive. It's a Jalen Polk sighting.
And another guy we'll talk about, I'm sure, before too long. I think a lot of teams are going to be in on T. Higgins. Like this would be a great spot for like Travis Hunter, and then go out and try to find, trade, because T. Higgins is going to get broke off. Everybody who felt sorry for poor T. Higgins had to make the franchise tag and $21 million. There is going to be such a demand for his services this offseason. Whether it's your guy Jaden Daniels, whether it's my guy Drake May, there's going to be a line come free agency to get this guy. But yeah, I'm a Drake May guy. I will not say that he's better than, even though he's had a 5-game run. But I'm big on Drake May. I was big on him in the offseason. I heard someone the other day describe him as a less polished version of Justin Herbert. And now that I see it, I can't unsee it. I'm super bullish on Drake May, and I like getting him at 104. Would have preferred to have gotten Bowers at 104, but I'm very happy getting Drake May. What are your thoughts on May? And then roll right into 5.
Love May. I can't wait to see him get some weapons. Also, too, if you're going to buy that jersey, DHgate, that's where you get the UNC jersey. You save yourself some money. Get it from overseas. Looks I have a closet full of them. They look exactly the same. You won't be able to tell the difference. I don't even know if they sell real. I guess maybe with NIL they do now, but before, like, you want to buy a college jersey, you had to be from. You couldn't buy it legit because there wasn't no NIL. Whatever. So love Drake May. Now at the 4, I'm struggling because there's what's up?
No, you're 5. You're 5. I just did 4.
Oh, at
you're
4.
5.
Sorry,
yes,
yeah,
sir.
at 5. Pick 5. Looking at 3 names, and it's really tough because I think you can make a case for any of the 3. I'm just debating of whether or not I want to go into the Caleb thing right now because I think it's early. I'm going Caleb. I want to talk about it because people are talking about this guy like he's done. Like we are how many games in? It's week. We're through 10 weeks. He's had 1 bye, so he's played 9 games. 9 games with who Matt kind of crucified me for this on Mine and Mansion, but I stay by my guns. I think play calling matters. I'm gonna pull that card because I'm telling you, man. When you look what Waldron did in Seattle last year, and you look what our boy, it's my Ryan Grubb, the OC in Seattle now. Look at what he's doing with it. The same exact team. They look 10 times better than what they did with Waldron over there. Like Waldron is awful. There's a reason this guy has now worked out. Like he's awful. And it's the one thing I was nervous about when I was drafting. It's like, I love Adunze, but man, look what they did to freaking JSN last year. Now, JSN, he's had a couple big games. He had the monster game last time we saw him. DK was out, so there's something to be said for that. But, I mean, JSN, just look at the routes he's running are a lot different this year. I just don't think he's simplifying the game for Caleb in a way where, he's not like just this – he's not like Jesus yet. Like, we're kind of seeing with, I think it was Orlovsky talking about it where Cliff Kingsbury, he's taken the things that Jaden did well in college. He kind of comes from more of a college background too. Obviously, we're working with Mahomes, working at USC too. Like, I heard a story where Cliff Kingsbury walked in the first day they had Jaden Daniels in the building. They said, "Hey, we're gonna scrap this install. Like, I have the things I want to do, but give me the 6 plays that you ran in college that that you could call right now." And that's what, and they put him in. Like, I just don't think Waldron's doing that with Caleb. Like, he has the weapons. Yeah, the O-line's iffy, but for him to be playing this bad, it's got to be misused. So I just don't think they're letting Caleb, they're not putting Caleb in the best positions that suit his, sort of his play style, I think, right? It's not like he's just like this. I would like to see more designed runs because he can run the ball. I don't think they're getting him on the move as well. There's a lot of things that I just don't think they've done right with Caleb. And granted, it's not just the play calling's fault, but Caleb is too talented. The guy who teams were tanking for 2 years in advance after 10 games. Now he's just done. I'm not going to let him fall past 5. I can't do it. So Caleb Williams at pick 5.
That's a good pick. And that would have been mine. He wasn't going any further. I was always pushed back on Caleb because I semi pushed back on the guy that I'm going to compare him to in Trevor Lawrence. You're a young guy. You're in your early 20s, right?
Mm-hmm.
You love what you do. Imagine working in the most chaotic environment as a coach in the world. It would be very troubling for you to reach your greatness. And it's the same thing. The Jacksonville Jaguars are one of the worst franchises, not only in the league, but in the history of the league. And I know the Bears, 40 years ago, they won a Super Bowl, 1985. It'll be 40 years in January. It's a bad franchise. It's not well ran. Not his fault. I'm going to give him the same. I'm going to be consistent. I'm going to give him the same courtesy that I've given Trevor Lawrence in that let's see what he gets with a real coach. It's not necessarily worked out the way I thought, although Trevor was playing better before he banged up his shoulder. But I will respect your pick of Caleb at 105. That was the big player. How far is he going to fall? And another guy that's taken a bit of a fall given this format's Marvin Harrison Jr. See some flashes. I think – can I tell you what? I have to draft him here because he's the best player on the board in my opinion.
Oh, okay.
Can I tell you what my take is on Marvin Harrison?
Yeah, let's hear it.
He's DK Metcalf with a better press agent. His PR firm does work for him overtime. You know how DK Metcalf will have a couple of meh games, like a a 6 for 70, a 5 for 80, you know, not going to break your back or make you feel, you know, bad, but he also has the capability of going 5 for 160 and 2. And that's the vibes I get when I watch the way that this season has worked so far with Marvin Harrison Jr. But I don't think we hold DK Metcalf in the same reverence as we do Marvin Harrison Jr. And I'm not telling you to go trade one for the other. I think given the way that his game has shaped, and again, to your point with Caleb, it's very early in his career. I think this is an appropriate land for Marvin Harrison Jr. Will there continue to be more chemistry? Sure. The thing that I've learned in this first season in Arizona is it took a couple of weeks, but Trey McBride's still the target hog, and he's a really good tight end. You're hoping that Marvin can slide into that 1B behind Trey McBride's 1A. He's still going to be fine. If you were to get him at the 106 today, given his performance, you would be thrilled. So I'm thrilled. I'm taking Marvin Harrison Jr. Again, same thing. Thoughts on Marvin and go on to 107.
This works out perfectly for me because I was debating. I was looking at Caleb was the guy I picked, but I was looking at Marvin, and then I was looking at BTJ, Brian Thomas Jr. And I think there's a real case. I think I was going to pick Brian Thomas Jr. over Marvin Harrison. Just look at what BTJ has done, man. You know, like granted, Christian Kirk's been out. You know, Evan Ingram missed a lot of early in the season, but it's not like this is like the most well-ran offense ever. Like Brian Thomas Jr. seems to have just, you know, transcended all that. Feels he's been more consistent. I threw out last week. He had freaking Mac Jones as quarterback. That doesn't count. The Philly game wasn't bad. It was bad either. A little rainy game, but like just look at like he just seems like he's just scoring touchdowns. He's putting up these yardage stuff that's like it just feels like he's had a better season than Marvin Harrison right now. BTJ's wide receiver 12, Marvin's wide receiver 17. Like Brian Thomas Jr. looks great, and he looks like it was kind of like Brian Thomas Jr. always felt like the ceiling case. Like whose ceiling do you think is higher, Brian Thomas Jr. or Marvin Harrison? Because I would argue that it's Brian Thomas Jr. just with like this speed stuff that is just insane. Like he has actually, I don't even think he's been playing football for that long too. I think he started playing like his junior year in high school or something like that. I could have that wrong, but I'm pretty sure I heard that. Or like he hasn't even playing. Like he's still kind of new to this game. Where like Marvin's, you know, like he kind of came in as like the can't miss. Like he's the most like ready right now, and that's why I was kind of like Neighbors over him because like Neighbors has that athleticism, that quick twitch stuff that you can't have. Like Marvin doesn't have, and I think Brian Thomas Jr. is kind of in that same category, a little closer to Neighbors than I think he is to Marvin, at least athletically. So I think I would have taken Brian Thomas Jr. over Marvin Harrison. So I'm gonna roll with BTJ at my pick right now.
I wouldn't push back on that, and I wasn't thinking Brian Thomas Jr. there, but I do like the way that the way that he's played the game. Another guy I wasn't super high on, neither was Jerry. Jerry called him the new DJ Chark there in Jacksonville, but he's actually been quite good. My only concern, quote unquote concern, is that since Evan Ingram's been back, he's been kind of hogging up the targets, and he's only had one double-digit fantasy game since the return of Evan Ingram. But, you know, I do like his quarterback. I do like there's no other real competition around there. They're not going to be in the free agent market. For a team that bad, they have serious cap things they'll have to deal with this offseason. They just gave Trevor Lawrence a huge chunk of money, but he does have the QB. I think he'll have a new head coach this time next year. And I think this is a slight improvement. I'd have to go back and look. I think this is maybe a couple of spots higher than he was going over the summer, but I know a guy who's taken a massive jump in this class, and this is why it's super flex. For me, it's Bo Nix. It's my guy. It's my boy. Bo Nix at the 108 for me. One of my bold takes on the Bold Take show was that Bo Nix was going to be the number one rookie in terms of fantasy points this season. He was going to outscore them all. He was going to outscore May. He was going to outscore Daniels. He was going to outscore Williams. I will tell you, he is gaining on your boy Jaden Daniels. Now, right now, Daniels has a nice 24-point lead on the season. Neither one of these guys has had a bye, so they're a very apples-to-apples comparison. But he has played really good. And again, speaking of guys, I thought Marvin Mims was going to take a step this year. Greg Dulcich was going to take a step this year. It's been Cortland Sutton and garbage.
Awful.
Just horrible, just absolutely horrible in Denver. The running game's not been what we thought it was, although it's good to see Estime out there getting in the mix in the Denver backfield. I think much like May and much like Jaden Daniels, we've not seen the best of him. The one thing I love about Nix is I love Sean Payton. You look at Russell Wilson, who they couldn't wait to give like $68 million and to get the hell out of town and go play for the Steelers here. Take this big sack of cash and leave. Russell Wilson last year, up until his benching, was a top 10 QB. So he's going to be good. He's going to be in this offense. He's going to be coached by Sean Payton. They're going to continue because they've got cap hell of their own because of the Russell Wilson. There'll be moves that they'll be making. Maybe this could be a T. Higgins landing spot. I don't think so because they've got a T. Higgins-ish kind of guy in Cortland Sutton, but I do expect them to put more pieces around him. This is far from a complete offense, but there's been some ups and downs, but you can't really hate on Bo Nix. He's a guy that you drafted to be a QB 2-3 in a super flex. Like, he's the guy you play if your QB2's got a bad matchup or your QB2's on bye or your QB1's on bye. He's playing as a QB1 right now. So I love when I get QB1 for production for QB2 or 3 prices. Love Bo Nix here at 108. Thoughts on Nix, and then we're going to wrap up this first segment with your 109.
Yeah, so I actually have a real dynasty trade for you. It's sent today involving Bo Nix. Now, quick background: the guy who wants this is he's like the nemesis of the league. Nobody he's a good guy, but nobody likes this guy as a fantasy player. He's known for making you think that you got the best deal, the trades, all that. No one wants to see this guy win. This is the guy in your league you never want to see win your league. He's currently first in the league. He had Dak Prescott, and he traded Bo Nix to me earlier in the season. I forget what the exact deal was. I got Bijan and Bo Nix for Garrett Wilson and something else. It was something like that. I feel like I won that trade right now. But he offered me, because he had Dak Prescott, who's now after the season. He offered me Dak for Bo Nix straight up. And my team's decent. We're not bad, but if I make this trade, I'm pretty much out of the playoffs, right? And I don't know what to do, because I feel value-wise, just take Dak, right? He's the better asset moving forward. He's got a long deal. But this Bo Nix guy, man, he's a rookie. He's playing better. Wait till he gets some more weapons. I don't know. Who would you rather have right now, Bo Nix or Dak Prescott? Straight up. It's tough.
I think they're the same guy, and you can get probably something on top of, Bo. You if you're sending Dak on paper, it's one of those on paper trades. I mean, if I'm not going to the playoffs, I'm not giving up Bo Nix. I'm going to hang on to Bo Nix because I don't know that he gets to Joe Burrow level. But if he plays like a Brock Purdy, what if he's just Kirk Cousins or Jared Goff, guys that I love? I just love those kind of guys. Boring. He's actually got more wheels than people give him credit for.
Oh, 100%.
And yeah, he's a very, very. And I'm hanging on to Bo Nix there. I can't do it.
I think that's what I'm doing. Yeah.
We got to speed this one up because I've got to join our boy Alan Seslowski here in a half hour on the Roster Watch, or excuse me, the RotoWire show. So I'm going to jump in. But you mentioned you've been raking in the cash in DFS. Our friends at FastDraft have a new DFS contest. Have you checked this out? It's called Flex 6 Frenzy.
Yes. No, I was going to literally deposit some money today to play it. I'm definitely going to take some shots at it. I don't know how many fast drafts you did over the summer. I definitely did a lot.
Indiana has a block on it.
Man.
So yeah, I don't know why.
Yeah.
I thought we had the regulation, but live drafts take 5 minutes. And it will alert you when the draft. So if you have the notifications on and you're in there, it will literally tell you, hey, the draft's starting.
Yep.
And they have a turbo mode, and turbo mode just really gets this thing going, and it will email you when your roster is built. These things are going on. So if you're into DFS, maybe your dynasty team's in the shitter, and it's just not been what you hoped it would be. and you're just like, hey, I'm going to start my rebuild, but man, I'd like to have some cash on the game. Go over to FastDraft. This isn't like, hey, here's a promo code, or we're doing this. We're doing this because FastDraft's been great. It's a new product. It'll really get ramping up when we get into best ball season here in just a few short months. I know you'll be there daily, Tyler, but yeah, I'm pretty stoked for FastDraft.
100%, me too. I can't wait to play this week. It's the first week they've had DFS on there, so I'm really pumped to just to dive into. It's always fun to playing some different sites, and FastDraft's like, watch out, man, they're coming. They're definitely coming. It's really fun with the booster part of it, all that too, where it's like just something you really don't get from some of like the other drafting sites. I would say specifically, like if you put the high booster on like Saquon or Jamar Chase this year, like crazy. So yeah, fast.
Could you imagine that booster on Jamar Chase last week? Given the week, I ran into enough Jamar Chase. I don't even want to talk about it anymore. But yeah, please check out.
I lost a team with Jamar Chase. I lost a week with Jamar Chase.
That's a special gift. All right, speaking of turbo mode, we got to kick it into turbo mode to get these next 9 picks here. I'm on the clock, and it gets interesting right around now because things have gotten weird. This guy's 25, but I think he's at least good for 3 more seasons. So I'm going to go ahead and go Tyron Tracy Jr. from the New York Giants. This is they've got everything they need in New York. They got Neighbors. They got Tyron Tracy. I think Theo Johnson's going to be a steal. You plug in a quarterback. So in the sake of time, I'm going to go Tyron Tracy, big mover in this class. But I love what I've seen to date.
I can't believe you left this guy for me, but I'm going Roma Dunze. Roma Dunze over Tracy all day, baby. Come on now. Like, this guy was drafted in the top 10. Same thing with the Caleb thing. It just take what I said about the Bears, the play calling, the Caleb thing, put it to Roma Dunze. He was drafted this high for a reason. Talent's there. There's no dispute for that. It's the big 3. Roma Dunze all day.
All right. Well, we're going to have to redo this. So we're going to make 110. That was your pick. So you got to go back to back. I'm fine with Roma Dunze. My concern is if Caleb lands, if Caleb lands, Roma Dunze will be fine. Keenan Allen's essentially dust. But you're going to get to go back to back. I like the Roma Dunze call. We're gonna get back on schedule, and you're gonna go 111.
Okay, 111, man. It's between 2 guys. I don't want to take any of the quarterbacks. Not yet. Oh man, this is tough. Give me Ladd McConkey. Ladd McConkey's the guy. He's looked great. Kind of what we were promised, thus far. They've used him, I think, a little bit more in Los Angeles than people thought they would. Herbo's throwing the ball. Like, I don't know why people thought like they were just going to run the power T with under Harbaugh, but McConkey's looked great. He's giving some really legit weeks. So give me McConkey over the quarterbacks and some of those other RBs.
Man, I this is what I get for trying to get things back on track. And Ladd McConkey would have easily been my guy. If I was literally drafting right here at the 112, then I would be then I would be thrilled as a contender to get Michael Penix. I think you're going to have to wait a couple of years, but it didn't hurt Jordan Love. Quarterbacks play later in their career. So I would go your boy Michael Penix. Now you're a Falcons fan. How many more years of Captain Kirko are we going to see? Perk Thuggins, as I've heard him called. Yes. How much longer?
I think after next year. After next year, they can kind of get out of his deal. If things aren't looking great, unless they go to the NFC Championship game next year. But if it's a first round playoff loss, I think it goes over to Penix. So I would say that. And let's just keep talking about the QBs because I'm curious to hear your take on McCarthy. I know you didn't like McCarthy coming out. I remember that was one of the big things we talked about at the draft house during the draft on the couch, I remember. But I'll go McCarthy here just so we can talk about him because it's still a quarterback. I think you still want to take shots on these guys. Just had his second knee surgery today. It sounds like it was more to kind of clear up some of that swelling in his knee, not more so like a structural thing. Kind of like I think this happened like Nick Chubb or Hawkinson or something like that too. But so the knee thing with McCarthy worries me. They're not going back to Darnold. I don't see it unless they go. They have to go like the NFC Championship game for them to go back to Darnold this year. I think McCarthy's the guy coming into next year. one of the best play callers in the league, best weapons in the league, I think. Solid O-line as well. I think it's got to be McCarthy. Just from situation alone, we'll see what the talent looks like.
I think he is going to be the hottest rumored quarterback in trade talks this offseason. I know
McCarthy?
Sam.
They trade McCarthy.
I don't know that they will. I think there are going to be a lot of teams asking because you're a Minnesota resident. You're not a fan. You're a Falcons fan. But the Vikings are 7-2, and they're a game out of that division. And I know he's coming off of a 3-interception game. I understand Sam Darnold going to Sam Darnold. But if they go 12-5 and win a playoff game, are you going to let Sam Darnold walk out the door at 28 years old? And if not, either JJ McCarthy becomes another Michael Penix or Jordan Love, or you're going to have teams like the Raiders, like the Giants. The Giants liked McCarthy in last year's draft process. I think you're going to have I think he's going to be the most interesting quarterback in this upcoming class, not named Shedeur Sanders, and you're going to think he's already on a team. I'm telling you, if I'm Brian Daboll, if I'm the new GM of the Raiders, I am reaching out to the Vikings because if Sam Darnold doesn't stick around, he's going to receive action. So I like the J.J. McCarthy pick. I'm going to move it along. I'm going to go Jonathan Brooks. And I know a lot of people are probably down on the fact that Chuba Hubbard just signed an extension there. I'm not. I believe it's a copycat league, and I think this is one of many more you're going to see. I think teams look around the league. They look at the success of the Detroit Lions, implementing a 2-back system, doing it well. By the way, Dan Campbell, I've said this before on the show, he learned that from Sean Payton. He saw it work for Mark Ingram and Alvin Kamara. I think that the Carolina Panthers are seeing that they can build this offense and protect their young quarterback. I mean, they've got other weapons there, young guys like Leggett. I know you love Xavier Leggett. Maybe you'll draft Xavier Leggett, but I think this guy's going to be just fine. He'll be heavily involved in the passing game. And if you can't handle two-headed monsters at running back, you're playing the wrong game because it's coming. They see it in Detroit, and everyone's going to try to do it. So I'll easily go Jonathan Brooks.
I'm going to stay with running back then, and I'm going to go Bucky Irving. Bucky Irving looks absolutely electric right now. I think there's a case made for Bucky like over Tyrone Tracy. Like Bucky looks great. Rashad, I mean, does he get re-signed there? It doesn't feel like it really. Feels like Bucky kind of has to be.
I think he's got one more year on that rookie deal, but this is the same thing, right?
Exactly.
They're using him that way in Tampa Bay as well.
Yeah, no, Bucky looks great. I'm looking at. I think the story's gonna be how far does Worthy fall, but considering where he was getting drafted, kind of in real time. But yeah, give me Bucky Irving right here.
No, I agree. Well, you're going to get to make the call on Worthy because I'm going Keon Coleman.
Okay.
I'm going to go Coleman just because I know they traded for Amari Cooper, but I also know Amari Cooper's 31. And at some point, they're going to start having to invest that premium draft capital back in the offensive line. Obviously you play in the AFC with Lamar and Mahomes and Herbert and, all these really good quarterbacks. So you can't always just go receiver. They've went Dalton Kincaid. They've went Keon Coleman. I think he'll take a year 2 leap. And I think now you probably paid 110 to 112 for him in this same format back in May. I think getting him here is a chance for a real steal if he takes a big step forward next year.
Yep. All right. I'm going to leave it. I should take him, but I'm not going
to. Do it.
No, I want to see what you do. So I'm going to go Ricky Pearsall. We just saw, like Debo's going to be gone. I think Debo's a free agent after this year, right? I think, or it's the 1 year after. He's coming up though, and like he's looking old. Like he doesn't look the same. I don't think he just played the way he plays the game, such a physical style. Ayuk's coming off an ACL. Like I think Ricky could really turn into something nice. He had the one game we kind of seen him in a premier role was last week. Obviously, he has a touchdown. I think Ricky in San Francisco is going to end up working out, kind of like how they used Ayuk. It took him a little while to get going. Like he just provides a different skill set. Like, yeah, Ayuk's there for the long term, it seems like now, but I think Ricky, if he kind of gets better, kind of comes in that wide receiver 2 in San Francisco, I think he's going to be really, really good. Kind of a more safe option. I just think he's a better receiver than Xavier Worthy. So I'm going to go Ricky Pearsall.
No, I'm fine with that, and I agree. I think Debo's gone. I think they've got to figure out how to pay Brock Purdy. They just extended Christian McCaffrey and Trent Williams and Brandon Ayuk, and Kittle's probably going to want an adjustment at some point. Fred Warner. I mean, this is part of the quote-unquote problem of hitting on so many draft picks is that you got to pay these guys. Dallas is kind of experiencing that right now. The difference is that San Francisco is getting away with it on a rookie QB. I'm filibustering because I don't want to pick anybody. To be real honest, I don't love anybody at this point. I don't think Xavier Worthy. I mean, maybe. I know he's fast, but I've seen a lot of fast guys in the NFL not do anything. I know people are high on Trey Benson, so. But you know what? Given the format, I'm going to go with your boy Xavier Legette.
Yeah, that's the boy.
They traded Mingo. Obviously, they're going to be in, looking for a wide receiver. Look at this guy. He's speaking of those sweet Chinese-made jerseys. No relation to player profile. He's rocking one right there. I don't love it. I'll be honest. Given the format being tight end premium, I wanted to say Theo Johnson. I mentioned him earlier in the show, and Theo Johnson is starting to be involved a little bit as the season's moved on. So I wanted to mention Theo Johnson, but you put on your Legette shirt. What are your thoughts on Legette?
Love Legette, man. I wouldn't say he's like, he's not lighting it up right now, but like he doesn't look like a bust. Like I think Legette looks better than Worthy does right now with awful quarterback play and just an awful offense in general. I think Legette's been a bright spot for the Panthers in some way this season. Obviously, Coker's doing his thing as well. I wonder if we get to him. I'm not going. We talked about my guy Legette. I don't want to go Worthy, and maybe I would go Worthy instead of this guy, but I want to talk about my guy. My actual guy is Ray Davis. Ray Davis, man. I don't think there'll be anything that I can victory lap any harder than Ray Davis being good. I'm telling you, like, it's one of those things where it's like I watch the tape and it's like it's the kids say I know ball, so that's what we're gonna go with. Ray Davis, man, he's looked great in Buffalo. He has some big plays. Like the one game James Cook was out versus the Jets, he just goes crazy. He has that crazy catch. He had a 75-yard screen pass a couple weeks ago. Man, Ray Davis. If anything ever happens to James Cook, or if James Cook's out the team, I truly think Ray Davis can be like a guy that just he could just be like one of these, like kind of like a Devin Singletary type, but I think he's better than Devin Singletary. But like a guy that like could mean something, like you're starting week in and week out if he ever gets his hands on a starting job. Ray Davis is the GOAT. So give me Ray Davis.
All right. Well, that'll wrap it up. If we were doing a 120, I would take Theo Johnson over the last 3 weeks. He's a tight end 11, which obviously, I like being a year ahead on tight ends. I think Theo Johnson is going to have a role. A lot of people liked him coming out of college. This is how you prosper. Like if, and Ben Sinnott would be another name. I think outside of hitting on a quarterback like a Brock Purdy a few years ago, Bo Nix this year, when you get a cheap quarterback in this format or a cheap tight end that turns into something, another guy, Jatavian Sanders, also of the Carolina Panthers. Those are some guys. Those are the young and up-and-comers, but you're a young and up-and-comer. You're producing the Sonic Truth. Sometimes they put you on camera. Remind these people, Best Ball Barbecue, everything that's going on with Tyler Knabley.
Yes, PPR Tyler on YouTube, on Twitter. We're sneaking up on 1,000 followers on Twitter, so toss a follow on there. I promise I'm a fun follow. I think we're like 860 right now, so toss a follow, PPR Tyler on Twitter. Obviously a sub on the YouTube channel as well. We'll be live tomorrow with Nez from the Badge Bros, talking a little hoops, mostly Battle Royale for Week 11, though, so you don't want to miss that stream. Nez is one of the sharpest, DFS underdog draft guys in the game right now. I was literally just watching his basketball stream earlier, so we're going to be live with him, chopping it up, the hoops and the NFL street. So come out tomorrow. I believe it's at 5 p.m. Central. Again, stay up to date on the Twitter. I always post what time I go live. So yeah, that's my plug. That's all I got.
Yeah, follow him at PPR Tyler. And if you follow him, you won't miss his things. Dude, I'm rooting for you. I wanted to see you get to that 1,000. We're going to get you to 1,000 and help that channel grow. And here's the thing. Everybody goes to YouTube. everybody goes to YouTube for something. And first of all, speaking of YouTube, I want to thank everybody in the chat tonight, from Harry Snowman to Best Ball on Call to just everybody that's, Brittany. Brittany, by the way, does all of the kick-ass graphics for our show. She does our thumbnails. I love the one she did for this week. I love all of them because she's awesome. But thank you to those guys, because when you interact in the chat and you ask questions and you make comments and you mention it, like videos, it really helps small podcast channels. And even though Player Profilers, creeping up near, 40, 50,000 subs, you know what? Yours matters. Your thumbs up matters. Your comment matters. And we go as you guys go. So you always hear it in the outro. I'm getting ready to play the outro, but you always hear Matt say, if you like and subscribe, it lets him know you want more. Is that fair, Tyler?
We want more. Yes.
We want more. That's the end screen. Well, I'm glad we got more, Tyler. I'm glad that you stopped by to hang out with me. I'll tell Jerry he's a bum for not coming by to hang out with you, but I appreciate it. But guys, everyone in the chat, everyone listening, just subscribe everywhere, like a video, and until next week, maybe Jerry will be back, or maybe he quit and I have to bring Tyler back permanently. You'll have to tune in next week to figure out which is going to be which. See you guys.
Hey, I want to thank you for being part of this broadcast. If you have any thoughts on it, leave a comment. If you enjoyed it, make sure you leave a like. And if you want to see more shows on the Player Profiler channel, subscribe to it. That's how we know you want more.